Welcome back. You're now watching the lifestyle segment of the weekend show. The topic of discussion is creativity and innovation using technology. A lot of young people have been doing phenomenal work in creating technology that revolutionizes the way we do business, the way we conduct ourselves, and the way that we create. On today's program, we have a young, fairly young gentleman with us, and he'll be talking about one of his revolutionary digital applications that provides security on the go. His name is
J.R. Okoli. He is the co-founder and CEO of Safex Nigeria, a digital risk management startup. Welcome to the Weekend Show.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
So talk to us more about this application. It's revolutionary. It's new to the market. How have Nigerians received it so far?
Well, so far the response has been very positive. The nature of security in this country is something that our grandfathers will recognize. Oh, excuse me.
That's okay.
It's something our grandfathers will recognize. It hasn't changed at all. Other sectors in Nigeria has moved on. They've begun to innovate. Security, not so much. We now, as Nigerians, have to begin to source the solutions to the problems that's plaguing Nigeria within ourselves. Creative thinking, being able to approach problems in an oblique fashion, not directly, in a different way, is the best way forward for Nigeria. Safex is one of those oblique solutions that we're bringing to the market.
So what does this application do? What's this technology about? How does it work?
Okay, it's pretty straightforward, and it's designed to be as simple as possible for the customers, especially. It's an app-based project. You're able to go to the Play Store or the Apple Store, download the app, and from there, you will now be able to select real-time, on-demand security. And the way it's positioned is that I have over 100 personnel now trained in hand-to-hand combat, close order protection. They're also equipped as well to handle any issues that may come scattered all over Abuja. So you could be in Wuse, you say you may need one or two guys to now escort you around. You can now open the app, and the closest one to your location will be the first one on the list. You can select them, and the process begins from there. Now, like I said, it's very simple, very straightforward.
Is there a cost to this application?
Yes, it's an hourly cost, of course. To download the app is free, but to use the service, it will cost. It will cost.
So I want to understand it clearly. So I'm going to an event
Sure.
and I need personal security because we need personal security. And I just download this app on my Play Store and basically the person comes to me. How does it work?
Okay, so once you download the app, you can now say, you have to have your location on, of course. It will automatically triangulate to your current location. But if you don't want the guard to come to that location, you can type in where you want to meet him. Do you understand? So if you're going to an event in, like I said, Wuse or Sokoro, you know the address. You can type in the address, send it out. The guard will now, once he gets the notification on his phone, he will now call you to indicate that he's received it and he's on his way.
Okay, but I also know you have a free application which handles things like immediate emergency security situations,
Correct.
from healthcare,
Correct.
Police, healthcare, emergency services, fire, and the like.
Correct.
What made you feel technology is the best way to do it, as opposed to people just getting a number off their phone and just making phone calls regardless?
If you look at the rest of the world is moving forward based on technology. Most of the Fortune 500 companies today are not mining companies. They're not raw material companies. They're all digital companies. Nigeria is at a point now where we can also do the same thing. We have mineral resources under our feet that we're not exploiting. Are we now going to come into the digital age and not exploit that as well? It doesn't make sense. Do you understand? So technology for me, based on that explanation, is the way forward for Nigeria.
And how are you able to collate data? Because as we all know, data is the new oil. It's the most valuable currency now with the Facebooks and the Googles and all the tech companies that are doing amazing stuff and making trillions. Jeff Bezos, they're all trading in data. So how are you able to collate data with your application?
Well, in the collating the data aspect of it, of course, for me, the customer's privacy is first. There's nothing that they will put there that will now sell out, so to speak, because we are a security firm, risk management. selling data is a very risky business, and we don't do risky business, if you understand. So that's really where we are in terms of that aspect of things.
Okay, we have someone on Skype joining us, Juwon Lawal from Dubai. Hi, Juwon, how are you?
Hi, good morning.
Good morning. What's the weather like over there?
Not too bad.
Awesome, awesome. So we're talking about creativity and the role of youths, you know, in harnessing this new tech era. So can you talk to us more about your role, what you're particularly doing? We know we've had you on the show before, and you've talked about your AfroCent group and, you know, the other, you know, technological innovations that you've come up with. So can you talk to us more about young people and the role they need to play in creating technological applications and development that would push the development of the continent further on?
Okay. First of all, thank you for inviting me, and it's a pleasure to be on your show once again.
You're welcome.
Okay, so creativity first. Creativity is equal idea, and then developing the idea, method or product, and then you come to innovation. And innovation is the reality of it. So we use I'll take a GSM phone as an example. You know, when GSM started in Africa, we started with basic, original basic technology, from 1G to now 4G. And from there, you have people using mobile phone now as their bank, sending mobile money from one mobile phone device to another, you know. So that has really involved, and so the creativity and the innovation has, through the help of technology, has made that possible. Another note is looking at this pandemic.
Sorry, Juwon, can you move back a little bit so we could see your face clearly on screen while you go on with the answer? Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So looking at the pandemic issue, and that has really brought us to the reality of technology and what young people can do, what we all can do, whether you are old or you are literate or professional, you know. Everybody now has to use technology. Now we're able to use technology to connect, to do this meeting, rather than the physical way of meeting each other, doing business. And that has even gone to an extent of religious services, businesses, school learning, and the kid now has to learn through online and still through device. And so the reality now is everything has evolved with technology. And that's where we are.
Okay, but Juwon, while we talk about it, in some quarters they call this the future of work, and the pandemic kickstarted it a little bit faster than
Come again?
I said this is called the future of work, and as a result of the pandemic, it started a little faster than we expected, and so we've had a lot of virtual meetings, and technology has actually proven to be useful. However, with most countries and cities easing down on the lockdown, people have started going back to offices. People have started gradually forgetting the technology, which saved us for the last 5-6 months. Do you feel, as a country in Nigeria, we need to actually still go back to offices fully, or we should just go on with the digital technology, which has actually made work easier in the last couple of months?
Definitely. We have to adapt to another way of working, and that's the reality. So everybody will not go back to work fully. It's not going to be as usual. And so companies, small businesses, medium businesses, even the big organizations have seen reason why they do not really need to keep too many people, and they're running, a lot of costs that they could not bear. And that's why we came up with the idea of bridging the gap between labor and the employers, because the laborers are feeling the heat, that they might not be able to keep all of their workforces in one place and with the kind of compensation that they usually give. Now, that's what gave birth to, under African Group, that during this pandemic, we came up and developed the idea of quickafrica.com that connects professional and freelancer to the employers. So the employers can leverage some cost remotely. So you either engage them remotely or you engage them fiscally when needed. And the professionals too, or the labor, the employees, also need a substitute to make money. So on these notes, with this technology, with this innovation and idea, they will be able to, outsource their services and provide these services to multiple employers, possibly, and then they can leverage their incomes from there. So, for example, in Nigeria, I do not think that everybody will go back to work this year, not even next year. And so we just have to evolve to proper technology and then shape it up a bit.
Very insightful thoughts, Juwon. Let me come back to the studio. JR, data on the African continent remains the most expensive across the world. Given the high levels of poverty, how do we then encourage youths to be creative and innovative using technology when it's already very expensive to access data?
That's a very good question. I guess if you use more of a carrot approach, okay? Let's say, for example, if the government was actively involved in harnessing the natural talents that we have here in Nigeria, and the youths can see that, they can see that this is something viable, that this is something that can work, it's gonna take off. We can see an African Silicon Valley inside Nigeria easily within 10 years. But now, to answer how they're gonna get that going, that's a very difficult answer to give, because it's a very difficult answer to give. I'm sorry, there's nothing else I can say. But it has to start from somewhere. And if they saw something tangible coming out of this, they'll flock to it. Most of the guys who are in IT, because of how high data is, the first chance they get, they're out of Nigeria. There's no incentive for them to stay, because they bring something to someone, and if they don't understand the technology they're bringing, they push the guy to the side or they'll steal their idea. So these young guys, they're just leaving Nigeria. It's a brain drain on another scale. So.
Well, Andy, I know we are asking the questions, but I think I have to ask you, because you're a tech expert as well. This is your field. What do we need to do differently to create an enabling environment, for people in your industry to thrive? Because as our guests have clearly said, this is the future, this is now. And Nigeria needs to digitize its economy as soon as possible in order to be able to, participate with other world powers. So what do we need to do? What needs to happen right now?
So I think we need to go back to prioritizing education. And I always have these conversations about education because I'm a Nigerian student doing the PhD, and ASU has been on strike for the last 6 months. And so realistically, most of these young people involved in technology, building applications and all of these innovations, most of them are self-taught. And so we need people to be able to say, I want to develop myself and use the time which they have. Whether we like it or not, we just spoke about cost of data being high, but young Nigerians are constantly on social media. And so if you can spend that time on social media, how about you learn some coding courses? So in the last couple of months, some people have started free coding courses, some have started paid courses where besides your university degree, besides your secondary school education, if we start teaching children how to be involved in technology, just play with it and see what you can do. We've seen a 10, 11-year-old boy build some video games using technology, and so we need to go back to education where we prioritize technology, which is now, it's no longer the future, it's now the present. And so once you start teaching these children early, they begin to get interested and then they love it. And then the innovation will come up on its own. But when we are just forced to do it, all our solutions will be tailored to the now and today, or pretty much copying something which is out there and bringing it back here. So we need to prioritize education and also think globally. Most times we think about what we're doing, we think about just Nigeria. But remember that we are the giants of Africa, as we like to say. You have Ghana, you have Kenya, you have South Africa, and they need your services. So we need to also think globally when we are thinking about innovation and creativity, as opposed to just limiting ourselves to our current city or our country.
And who does the onus fall on to rejig our curriculum? So for the schools that are teaching, you know, these students, the textbook, the theory, that's one of the biggest issues I have in Nigeria. They want you to cram all the definitions of everything, but very little practical.
Sure.
So who is in charge of rejigging our curriculums across the education system?
Across board, that's why we have a Minister of Education. The Minister of Education has that. It's on him. I remember in 2019, a special advisor of the president said Buhari's administration this year will focus on education, 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 which now pushes it to the Minister of Education. How well were we able to handle online learning during the last 6 months? So we need that political will, but most importantly, this is why ministers have been appointed and commissioners, and so they need to take that leadership. However, in selection of these people, you need people who are in tune with the modern realities of education, not because someone is a professor or they've been in the sector for years and years. You need people who know what's actually happening, both here and globally. And so I'll put that solely on the ministries of education, not just federal, but also at the state level.
Totally agree.
Makes sense.
Do you have something to add?
Oh, no, he covered everything. When it comes to that.
Awesome. So Juwon, are you still there?
Okay.
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, do you want to take the final question?
Yeah, so Juwon, besides work and besides security, which we've spoken on today, what other sectors do you feel Nigerians, I don't want to say young Nigerians, what other sectors do you feel Nigerians should think about when they're thinking about building new technology and innovations? What other sectors would you speak on?
Yeah. Basically, first, the education aspect of it. They need to build strong technology around education. Now that the children are now exposed to learning through technology, so that our teachers from nursery to tertiary institution can also adopt that, and they build it to an advanced, user-friendly system or structure, so people can get used to learning through technology. And the second note is also, just the data. Nigeria needs data. For example, all the parastatal, government parastatal, they need to digitalize their services, how people registered for even passport, ID cards. And so those things has to go digital, payment of fees and dues. And then that will also help to eradicate or reduce drastically the corruption that might be ravaging the growth of that country. Yeah.
That's a fine place to leave it. Juwon, JR, thank you both so much for your
Thank
time.
you for having me.
When next we're doing a segment like this, I need a woman in tech,
Yes,
right?
we
So
do.
I need to hold Zaki responsible because women are doing phenomenal work in technology and innovation. So when next we have this segment, we'll definitely be inviting my fellow women.
Yes.
We'll take a short break right now. When we return, more on the weekend show. Don't go anywhere.